Well, one of the subjects that I'm fascinated about, mainly because I'm literally a few weeks away from this sort of big 5-0. And when I say it now, I'm like, I'm sort of looking in the mirror and like, do I look like I should do? Do I look better? Do I look worse? And it's a real. I'm sure it's one of the things that everybody sort of struggles with. But yeah, I'm about to enter this age, and so I wouldn't mind talking a little bit about, what you've found in terms of that sort of, over 50. Let's call them over 50 groups. Why is it an interesting opportunity that we should think about? And what are some of the things about the over 50s? Because, like I say, I imagine a sort of grey haired person, not that I've got hair, so I've been able to avoid that, but it doesn't sound doesn't sound sexy, although I like to feel sexy. I like to feel as I was when I was 30. So why are these people important, and what sort of things are they interested in? Um, because that are probably different to how people would imagine that group of people is.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned that because what we knew right away, and which has really played out to be true, is it's really tricky to market old, right? And so there's two fronts. As you know, we're trying to market a franchise to a potential investor, and then we're trying to help that investor market their services to their local market, right? Their local neighborhood gym, if you will. And so they're marketing to their market. And you cannot go B to C, business to consumer marketing, with old because no one thinks they're old. I can even remember when we first were talking about the concept, and I was talking about a potential investor, and he was in Greenwich, Connecticut. He had been on Wall Street for years, and he was 60 years old, but he was an A player, hard charger, liked sports cars, was in great shape. So we're talking about this demographic, and to me, he's the ideal avatar, right? Like we do these archetypes of clients, and there's different characters, if you will, and there's like movers and shakers, and that was one of the big ones, right? And that's like an entrepreneur who's financially independent, but yet when he starts hearing that we're targeting this older age group, he says to me, "Oh, so it's for older people." And of course, I didn't have the heart to be like, "No, no, it's for you and for me, by the way, right?" But to your point, marketing old is not a good idea. I mean, it's just not. I think I posted last year, right before we launched the franchise, I posted my only ever shirtless picture on Instagram. And I'm in great shape. I mean, my body fat's like 8.5%. I'm 225 pounds. I've got abs. It's like if you cut my head off, I look like a 30-year-old, right? I'm that creepy guy in the back of the magazines that's like 100 years old with a 30-year-old body. But I'm fighting it, right? And I don't want to work out in an old person's gym either. I'm just like you. I just turned 50. I turned 51 here in a few months. So we're roughly the same age. So I wouldn't go to a gym like that. I want to go and try to keep up with guys in their 20s, right? That type of thing. So when you look at this crowd, the reason that they're relevant is because they have this disposable income. They're smart consumers. They want to pay more. They don't want to be just one of the crowd, but they certainly don't want to feel old. I mean, these are people that they drive expensive cars, they play golf, they take great adventure trips, they ski, they travel the world. They consider themselves young and sexy and all the things that you and I consider ourselves, right? I mean, true or not, whatever. So all that being said, the real key is to think about premium, right? So think about the brand of like a Porsche. So, and I know you're a car guy. I've seen some of your cool cars, right? Well, cars are awesome. Like what person doesn't like, nice sports cars? It's like everyone, right? But there's not a lot of 25-year-olds walking into that dealership buying a Maserati or an Aston Martin. There's just not. If you looked at their average demographic, it's going to be people probably early 40s up into their 60s and 70s. Well, that's our demographic, but we're not selling to them old. We're just selling premium. So think smart, scientific, specificity. Don't do what the masses do. You're special. Come in and do this. You're smarter than that, right? That's how you capture. So if I came to you and said, listen, I've got this super scientific way. We're going to bring you in. We're going to do this movement screen. It's going to be very specific to you, and it's very scientific. And this is what professional athletes do, which is true, by the way. You're going to be like, yeah, that's for me, right? Because you have a certain ego around looks and feeling young and fit. That's the way to do it. So it's a little bit of a trick. Now, B2B, it makes sense. I can tell somebody, hey, this is an untapped market. Every other fitness brand is chasing 30-year-old hot moms. Go after people 45 and up, right? Because they're a bit underserved, but you have to be smart in the way you do it. And even in your marketing pictures, we made the mistake of going a little bit too old, even in some of our imaging. So now we've gone back to more aspirational. And it's okay to show people in their 40s, 50s, or whatever, but they better be fit and they better be someone who I would want to aspire to look like, right? Or doing an
Right.
activity that I would aspire to do. And so that's really the key. It's a great relevant market financially, but you really have to make sure you don't market old or you're going to lose guys. I want guys like you. You're the perfect customer for my business, but if I go old, I'm going to lose you all day long.
Yeah, then that's right. And I think,
Yeah.
I've never thought about the sort of automotive industry, but if you think about it, those most of the premium brands that we all know, you're right. Certainly where I am, the average age of people are like, they're older than my dad. But that, I suppose what they're doing is they're making those people feel young again. That car makes them feel like they were when they're 30, when they couldn't afford it, I suppose. So it's, but they, they obviously do it in a very sophisticated way where you don't get that sort of sense of age. Even my dad, he's, I guess a prime person for them. But yeah, it's interesting. I like the way you say that. Marketing premium as opposed to old. It's
Yeah,
an
you just
interesting
have to
one.
be smart, scientific. I mean, if you're marketing a Porsche, right, it's about performance and horsepower. And yes, it looks sexy and it's amazing, but you have to pay to play and there's some status around that. So if you want to be a status brand, right? I mean, you don't drive a Porsche around if you're broke. If you do, you might, but you know what I mean, right? There's a certain status. I mean, we live in a great area for really twisty roads, right? We're maybe a couple hours from a famous road called Tail of the Dragon, and there's just turns and curves everywhere. So there are so many sports car clubs out of Atlanta that you'll see in the mountains, and it's like, there'll be 20 Lamborghinis or 14, 15 Porsches, and they all meet up, and then they drive up to the mountains and race around the curves as fast as they can. And I'm a motorcycle guy, so I'm up there. I might be in a Ducati club or BMW or all the same thing. Same bikes. Bikes have the same kind of connotation, right? But when you see the guys stop and get out of the car, they're all older guys. I mean, they're all my age and older. Now they're fit,
Mm.
and you can tell they're A players, and they're probably successful business people, right? But they still want to feel cool and sexy, man. That's what it's all about. So there's a real magic to being able to do both, like to service them well. I mean, if you put them in a CrossFit type of environment, they're probably going to be competitive. They're probably going to get hurt and do something stupid. So there's a way to do it in a smart way, still train them in a way that's going to keep them there for that 36-month average, but also making it feel sexy and not old. And there's a brand that just opened close to my gym, and it's called like 55 and Fit or something. I think it's a one-off. That's not the title, but I won't call them out. But I went in there the other day, and it was so tired and so old. And I'm in their age demographic, right? And I just thought, oh, I mean, the person at the desk was like 100 years old, and they showed me some machine that would help me with my bone density, and I'm standing there like, probably in better shape than their kids. And I'm thinking, man, this is just a swing and a miss, right? So, yeah, tricky.